So now we have our friends from the Ascott Limited taking the stage. Let's give them a round of applause. They'll be sharing the Ascott Cares Sustainability and Travel Beyond efforts. We have with us the Country General Manager, Mr. Philip Barnes, and joining him is the Assistant Residence Manager of Citadines Bay City, Manila, Miss Faith Quijano. She's also the Sustainability Champion of the Ascott Limited. Philip and Faith, take it away. Hi, Philip.
Good morning. Sorry, I like to walk around, so the cameramen are going to get you busy for a couple of minutes while I talk here. Very, very privileged to be here today at the University of the Philippines. Thank you for inviting us. Quite a lot of our associates, the Ascott Limited, are alumni of UP, actually. To Manila Bulletin, Philip, thank you for inviting us as well. It's great to be here and share a bit of our sustainability plans with you. So I am also Philip, great name to have, by the way. I'm the Country General Manager of the Ascott Limited, and you're very lucky today because I have our Sustainability Chair and Champion, Faith, here. That's going to tell you a lot more about our initiatives here in the Philippines. So, if I may, I'll indulge you a little bit about the Ascott Limited and what we've done from a global perspective, and then Faith will take it on from the local side. So, next slide, please. Next slide, please. So, before I get into the presentation of the Ascott Limited, I have a question. Now, there is no right answer, but there is a wrong answer. So, in terms of percentage, how much do you think tourism brings into the environment and the pollution of the environment? How much damage do you think it does? A percentage, globally. From this side, just shout a number, shout a number. 18? 18 is what it said here. This group agree with 18? 80%. Wow, Cleo and I should leave the industry straight away. This side, what's the number? And I see you on your phones, no Googling the answer. In the back here, no Googling, come on. Top head, what do you think? 27%, 15 minutes, I just started. Okay, 15% and 18%. Okay, close but not quite there. In terms of a global perspective, tourism equates to anywhere between 5 to 8% of the total impact to the world. So 80% is very far off, right? Now, the scary thing about tourism is that it has the potential to double or triple in percentage over the next few years. That's why it is so imperative that the hospitality industry and the tourism industry start to make changes now. You heard Cleo and what Mega World are doing, and by all means, let's give her a round of applause. It's an amazing, amazing program. Cleo, I really love your program. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful program. And when you're doing the name badge, I went, the badge, I thought beautiful, and I was thinking, Singaporean company, what can we do? Hainanese chicken rice? Or I don't know. Anyways, but I loved it, so thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So the Ascott Limited. So we are a global company, Singaporean-based company that has been around in the Philippines for 23 years. Now, do any of you know the Ascott Limited here? A brand? Do you know the Ascott? You know the Citadines? Somerset? Life? Someone said Life. Who said Life? Anybody say Life? I heard Life. Okay. But Life is also a brand of the Ascott. So we have 15 brands in total globally, ranging from service residences to hotels and resorts. In the Philippines, if we go to the next slide, please. Here we go. So this is Ascott Limited. So Singaporean-based company, most of our properties are Asia-Pacific related. The two biggest countries in terms of properties and size is one, China, with over 200 properties, and Indonesia with over just under 180 properties in that country alone. So for the Philippines, how big are we? Well, next slide, the Philippines, we are 31 properties in the country. Is that my timer? I'm stopping. Yeah. We are 31 properties in the country, right? We currently have 14 operational, and since you're all here and you're all great at math, you can do the math to figure out how many more we got to complete and construct in the next 5 years. But 31 and growing. This is service residences and resorts. To share with you a bit of background on our properties, The Ascott Limited is actually the first ever globally certified service residence in the world by The Edge. That's the first one, and it's here in the Philippines, done by the team in the Philippines to create that. It's a huge honor in the sustainability component. So that's 31 of our properties. What we do is two things. One is that we go for green building certifications. So that could be your EDGE, your Green Mark, for example. And the other one is that we go for operational certifications. This is GSTC. This is a globally recognized program to certify operational excellence in terms of sustainability initiatives. So we have been actually one of the first hospitality companies recognized with them for rolling this out. And I'm pleased to share that in the Philippines by 2024, every single property that is operating will be certified for sustainability initiatives to the global standard. So that's a good initiative for us to have. Next slide, if we may. So, why am I here? I'm here to talk about Ascott Cares. I do a little bit of marketing. Do we have any shirts that we can give away? No? No? Okay, well, IKEA is giving promos, so we should give away some shirts or something. Anyways, the Ascott Cares is based on a few pillars, obviously from Cares. So obviously we got community, alliance, respect, environment, supply chain. Did I get that right? I got that right. Okay, good. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about this because Faith is going to talk a lot more about this locally in terms of how this has impacted our operations in the Philippines. But what I can share with you is our learning journey started a lot earlier. So this program was launched in November 2022, right? So we came out of the pandemic and we started to focus a lot more on sustainability. But for CapitaLand and Ascott, we've actually been doing sustainable practices for over 10 years. The problem is that we looked at it from a target-centric environment. We said by 2030 we'll achieve this, by 2050 we'll achieve that, and that's all great. But Cleo announced it earlier. You can have any target you want, but if the people don't buy in and it's not part of your company culture, it will not move. And so what happened was we created the Ascott Cares framework that allowed the company to evolve its culture to focus more in regards to sustainability and what we need to do as individuals. If you think about it, leadership can say anything they want in terms of what they want to do, but the leaders are not the ones who do everything, right? They're just the messenger. So how did we do it? We looked at a thing called Shifting the Elephant. I don't know if any of you have heard of it, but if you do want to read it, it's a book, Dan Heath, Shifting the Elephant. Basically, it highlighted that the leader cannot move the elephant unless it creates purpose. You need to create purpose for people to understand why they should be sustainable and what they can do, not only at work, but also at home. Everybody comes from different backgrounds, financially, socially, etc., location. So how do we understand what we need to do as a corporation to allow them to understand why we're doing it and buy into it? And that was what the Ascott Cares program was all about, that engagement, closing the gap. If we can go to the next slide, please. Bing. So what happened was we did a framework. And interestingly enough, the framework was based on one big decision. Ascott's global financial controller, the one that handles all the money, was also given the title of Chief Sustainability Officer. Now, you're thinking in your head, how does that work? Profits versus doing the right thing, right? Very Jekyll and Hyde. You all know Jekyll and Hyde? Read the book? Okay. I'll let you pick which side is Jekyll and which side's Hyde. But anyways, if you consider this, it made a huge change in how we started to think about things. We looked at it from a standpoint of any math problem or analysis can give you different answers. It's how you present it and how you look to solve it. The key thing that everybody keeps saying is that sustainability is more expensive. The truth of the matter is, it's not. It's the way you calculate. And that's one of the learning things that we had. You can get two big chillers. One can be non-sustainable, but for the outright investment price, can be lower than the sustainable chiller. That could be a higher price. But your return of investment in regards to over a 10-year period, that sustainable chiller gives you more returns, which actually makes it a more logical, cost-effective choice. This was the difference in thought process for us as a corporation with this role. And that has trended down now from global to country to property. So if you see in the framework, we have a leadership council that is based in Singapore. And then what happens is you have myself and Faith who will drive the Sustainability Council in the country. And then underneath that, all the property managers, hotel managers, resort managers, service residence managers, all the heads of department, engineering manager, housekeeping manager, security manager, guest service manager, they all have accountability and ownership towards sustainability. It's now part of our key performance indicators. It's part of our, as we call it, balanced scorecard. So by right, the messaging comes down in terms of ownership and accountability. We now have to support the direction, and we now have to bring everybody down to that same level in terms of what we need to do together. So that ownership and accountability ignited passion. Passion for education and learning. One of the things that we did a lot of is education. We worked on programs, we did rollouts of trainings in terms of environment, social, governance. We actually partnered with a lot of people because we recognize that we're not the experts in this field. We need to learn, even ourselves. So through partnerships, which Faith will talk about in terms of alliances, we actually work with multiple different companies in terms of understanding the ESG, right? So we work with Power Ignite in rolling out our DE&I engagement. We've worked with multiple companies in terms of equipment, in terms of water saving, electricity saving, etc., and it just continues on. Because what we recognize is we can't be a silo. We have to come out of a silo and work in partnerships across the board. So that is our governance chart there for you. Next slide. Okay, the great thing about being a publicly listed company in the Singapore Stock Exchange is that all this is available online, so I do not need to read it to you because I'm going to be told I got 10 minutes left. So, but here you can see basically 34% of all owned properties now are certified. You'll see that of 15 countries, we are ISO and EHS certified. You'll see that we're rolling out different programs across, and you also see our sustainability targets in terms of savings of carbon emissions and water, etc. Next slide, please. Next slide. Here we go. So a little bit more. The other thing to also highlight for Ascott is that we also are the first ever hospitality company to partner with an international telehealth company called International SOS. So that gives free healthcare advice to all our guests. So a guest is not feeling well, they pick up the phone from their room, they call that number, and they get free medical advice. Then they get assistance in terms of where they need to go. So that was something we looked at, obviously coming through the COVID pandemic. Okay, I think I'm running out of time, so it's up to now. So that's just a global nutshell of the Ascott Limited and our sustainability program. I'm pleased to give you Miss Faith. She chairs our sustainability program in the, say that 3 times, sustainability program in the Philippines. She is extremely passionate about what she does and brings across, and we're very, very proud to have her chair. And I'm getting her more stressed as I say this. So, Faith, over to you.
Thank you, Sir Philip. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Sir Philip. So I'm here to introduce to you the local initiatives of the Ascott Limited Philippines. Next slide, please. We will be starting off with our first pillar that's called community. So with our growing global presence, we are in the position to make a larger positive impact in the communities we operate in. And we aspire to do good for the communities we touch through our operations. We prioritize local employment, mobilize staff, and develop partnerships to contribute skills and resources in supporting environmental and social causes. And speaking of social causes, next slide. All right, so Ascott Philippines has been collaborating with Gawad Kalinga since 2017. Each of our properties has a designated Gawad Kalinga Village partner, and this is where we do our monthly CSR programs. So under these programs, our associates visits GK Village and conduct livelihood trainings, and along with various engaging activities that we do, such as storytelling and cooking activities for the Gawad Kalinga kids. Next is sorry if you could go back. Next initiative previous slide please. All right, is last September 15, we had the World Cleanup Day, and all our properties got involved in this global movement where we did our cleanup drives in the nearby parks and nearby bay areas of our properties, and all the plastic wastes we've collected have been donated for recycling. And in relation to the first story that I've mentioned, the Capital Land, Ascott Group, had this international volunteer expedition where our representatives from Ascott properties in the Asian countries flew over to the Philippines, and in partnership with local NGOs, Gawad Kalinga, and the local communities, we assisted in building houses for 20 underprivileged families in Bawan, Batangas. So to improve the sustainability of the community that we did there, we conducted various workshops, such as the Food Shed Project, where the community gained necessary knowledge and skills in doing gardening, building hydroponics, and this is just creating them and giving them more progressive community for their families. Another one is the cattery at Ascott Makati. So as you know, we are a pet-friendly establishment in Ascott, but our love for pets goes beyond that. We are one of the first few establishments to build a shelter for stray cats. And this cattery is located in the basement 3 of Ascott Makati, and it was built by our engineering team. And we provided cat food, litter, toys for them. But since the news came out, it actually met a lot of positive feedback. It quite created a buzz about it. So some guests actually made a habit of visiting the cattery, and during this day, they were the ones who's feeding them. So another cattery was actually built in one of our citadines properties in Ortigas also. And to continue our partnership with Passion Project, we also had a pet adoption drive this Q1 in Ascott Makati. So there were 10 rescues that were up for adoption that event. And we are pleased to inform you that all 6 dogs and 4 cats were all adopted and they found their new home. So I'm not sure if you've also heard, but Passion's Project Shelter, who has been providing refuge to rescued strays in San Jose del Monte, Bulacan, for 4 years, announced their closure because the property is being sold. So another initiative that we did is we conducted a live selling for a cause to gather funds for them in finding a new location for their shelters. And another thing, Ascott also prioritizes local employment, mobilizing staff through our various staff engagement activities. Under the community is a sub-pillar called cultural heritage, because the Philippines has a rich cultural heritage, as we all know, that appeals to all travelers of all ages. So we make sure that with every visit of our valued guests, we make them experience the many local and cultural treasures of our country. Also, we promote our story number 8 there, the Stay Sustainably with our Somerset properties through our Sustainability Passport program. To engage our guests in the range of eco-friendly activities, wellness programs, and community initiatives. So this program enhances Somerset as the preferred choice of accommodation for those who want to be part of the green travel movement. Okay, next slide. Under Alliance is the goal of us driving meaningful partnerships. So we continue to be in partner with external stakeholders in advancing sustainability across the destinations that we operate in. Next slide. You've heard Sir Philip mention this a while ago. Ascott Makati received the EDGE Green Building Certification, which is a certification focused on making buildings more efficient. So the redesign of our hotel included installing energy-efficient air conditioning and heat pumps for hot water to save energy, low-flow shower heads, and dual flush water closets to conserve water. And overall, we've accumulated 80% of reduced embodied energy because of this redesign. We also have 2 of our properties BCA Green Mark certified. That's Somerset St. Charles, San Celdo, and Makati, and also Citadines Millennium Ortigas. So when you say BCA, it's an internationally recognized green building certification scheme tailored for the tropical climate like ours here. So this voluntary scheme evaluates buildings for their environmental impact and performance through a comprehensive framework that assesses overall environmental performance for both new and existing buildings for energy efficiency. And last but not the least is the World Bank Group's International Finance Corporation, or IFC, and Ascott signed a memorandum of understanding in 2018 to pioneer the green certification for service residences, which we've mentioned. Ascott Makati is the world's first EDGE certified property in the end of 2022. Next slide. Under our pillar respect is the people, because people stand in the heart of our business. And Ascott undertakes initiatives in areas including health and safety, diversity, equity and inclusion, DEI, human rights, and customer engagement. Next slide. I have 2 more pillars, sorry. So another, did you know, Ascott is the world's first hospitality industry to offer a comprehensive suite of telehealth, telecounseling, and travel security advisory services to its residents. So through our partnership with health and security firm International SOS, Ascott strives to assure guests of their comfort and safety, not just during the pandemic, but until the present, by providing around-the-clock access to remote healthcare services. And then another initiative of Ascott is the Ascott Clean 360, where we aim to accommodate guests in a safe, comfortable environment, providing them a conducive working environment for our associates. Next slide. Is environment. And in terms of our 4th commitment, our focus is, as a responsible company, is the low carbon transition, water conservation, sustainable accommodations, waste management, and circular economy solutions. Next slide. So we have partnered with the Plastic Flamingo, or more commonly known as PLAF, in collection of the plastic waste in our properties. So PLAF is a social enterprise dedicated into repurposing plastics into sustainable construction materials, such as recyclable eco-planks. This will help build temporary shelters, new schools, housing, and other environmentally friendly goods. And their workers and actually their waste collectors come from low-income families. So PLAF is able to provide them with livelihood where they can upskill and seek more opportunities also. So by partnering with PLAF, we amplify our green vision to operate sustainably in all that we do. A very good initiative also that our guests appreciate is, and we usually get positive feedbacks and praises here, is our switch to the 5 water gallon setup in all our apartments, eliminating the further use of plastic bottled waters and thus reducing our carbon footprint. Oh, and another initiative that we do can actually be found in your phones. So if you could point it out for me, you can go to App Store and Play Store and you can download Discover ASR. And we have a loyalty program called Ascott Star Rewards. So if you're successfully registered, you can approach me later. So this is actually a 24/7 digital concierge. But what set this apart is our Go Green program. So this is actually a part of our ongoing efforts to engage our guests and encourage them to adopt sustainable practices. So they get ASR points whenever they opt to lower down the room cleaning frequency when they stay. So last October 2021, when it was implemented, we had over 600 instances of room servicing were skipped, resulting to greater energy and water efficiency. We also supported Haribon Foundation's Forests for Life movement through their Adopt a Seedling program to sustain the rainforestation initiatives and at the same time provide livelihood to their partner, Samahan ng mga Magsasaka ng Sun Address. So last November 16, that was 5 days ago, we planted 1,250 native seedlings in the Sierra Madre mountain range of Tanay Rizal. So through this partnership, we reinforce both our organization's commitment to environmental sustainability and conservation of our natural resources. In terms, actually, D&I is more under the respect pillars, and this is the initiative of our CGM, Mr. Barnes. This is to enhance our staff awareness, fostering a more informed, fair, and inclusive workplace culture for all our employees. So we regularly review our hiring and promotion practices to ensure they do not discriminate against gender, age, ethnic background, religion, family, marital status, as well as their physical abilities. All right, next slide. And last but not the least, pillar, supply chain. At Ascott, we understand that our impact on the environment and society extends beyond our properties and guests to include our supply chain. Next slide. Of course, we favor environmentally sustainable, local, and fair trade products, utilizing sustainable packaging for our restaurants. We have also collaborated with Anthill Fabrics on the creation of our staff uniforms. So the accent on the uniforms, as you can see there, exhibits the Philippines weaving tradition. So we honor it by keeping our culture alive through the beautiful contemporary designs. So it's also good to note that Anthill Fabrics work with indigenous community enterprises across the Philippines, like in Cebu and South Cotabato. So these aren't just hand-woven, but heart-woven uniforms. In line with our Citadine's brand signature for the love of coffee, we purchase and sell local coffee beans from various provinces in support of our local farmers. Tuburan Coffee, for example, is a social enterprise in Cebu who envisions coffee farming as their sustainable livelihood. Our products our paper products are FSC certified. So I've known you've heard it from Sir Gerald earlier when he talked. FSC, it stands for Forest Steward Council. So it's an organization that works to promote the practice of sustainable forestry worldwide. So when you say it's an FSC certified paper, you will know that it is sourced from a well-managed forest, thus it's truly environmentally and socially responsible. In all our properties, we also made the switch to refillable bottles and biodegradable packaging, as well as the conversion of our plastic to wooden key cards and the switch of digital business cards to reduce our carbon footprints and reduce our plastic usage. Next slide. So these are just some of the best practices that we can further share with you, but I would not go really much deeper into these best practices. Next slide. Next slide, because I've discussed this earlier also. And that's it.
Okay. Wow.
So
Record
this
time.
is just some of the ways we did, but there's more to go. There's a lot we can do in any way to make a difference in trying to shift the elephants and educate ourselves more in the process. So it's an honor and a privilege to speak with you today on behalf of the Ascott Limited.
Thank you. Faith, wait, stay where you are. Philip, come back here, please. Philip and Faith, just a quick Q&A because every speaker deserves a Q&A. And we do have one last speaker. She's going to be online in a very short while. But I just want to get a round of applause for Philip again and Faith. Thanks for staying with us, everybody. We're going to have one last speaker before lunch break. And by the way, there's free lunch for all the students here. Lunch will be provided. But wait, Philip, Faith, again the point, wait, have you been listening? With every speaker, they are sharing sustainability practices. Can you see now how, again, sustainability is not just a word, it's in action. It's actually being practiced in these wonderful, again, industries, so far hospitality. But here's one thing. Philip, Faith, you've said certifications, global excellence, outreach efforts, who, by the way, they're the first one to tie in pets, stray cats, healthcare. How health can come into the picture when it comes to sustainability practices, like free checkups for everyone who goes to the Ascott Limited. Does this help patrons to go? Hotel guests, does this increase? Because again, let's not forget, profitability, it's still a business. Can we show that with these efforts, people patronize the Ascott Limited more? When you say we practice this?
Yeah. So I think, great question. I think one of the things that's going to change over the next 10 to 15 years is you're going to see more people more socially aware about sustainability in their traveling. So you see a lot of theories now where 67% of people checking online are looking for sustainable hotels or practices.
They don't complain, huh? Because the thing, you're really
Yeah.
breaking habits, like wooden keys. You're breaking a lot of habits. And before, you could get the shampoo and take it home.
We get
let's
a lot
admit
of
it,
positive
right?
feedbacks from it.
Now, those are pretty much out the window.
Gone. And I think, again, when we look at it from a corporate standpoint, a lot of corporate companies are asking specifically about your sustainable practices. And that becomes a forte in terms of whether they're going to book with you. I think on the leisure side, we're going to see that shift grow. But definitely on the corporate, we're seeing that more and more. We're getting a lot more corporate clients interested in staying with us because of these sustainable practices. Because they also want to represent that as well. And they want their colleagues to also have this mindset of moving through with sustainability. So it's worked out well for us.
Do you want to sign up and have a staycation in the Ascott Limited after hearing their practices? Right? So there you go. There's your future guests. Right, exactly.
Register to discover.
Go ahead. And one last. You can also see that, again, with being kind to stray pets like cats and dogs, it now is also a way to say, hey, come over, check this out. Go ahead, you're my...
It created a buzz, actually. And as what I've mentioned earlier, people go to our hotel to visit them even and feed them and provide toys for them. So it's something that's been being visited in our properties too.
I think the other thing you have to look at now is that family dynamics are so different, right? It's not about having husband and wife and children. It could be wife and wife, husband and husband, and then they have their own pets. You know, everybody is a member of the family. And so for us at Ascott Limited, we have to make sure that everybody gets recognized. So even pets, when they stay with us, they get their own welcome kit. So they get their little ball, their own treats. You know, so they get to have that little staycation as well. And I think that's important because you want to capture everybody's family, and everybody's family is different. And so we need to make sure we do that.
Thank you. A round of applause for Philip and Faith, everybody. Thank you again. See, it's an eye-opener, right?